Hello! Honestly, I have been putting off this video for ages and I've just been a little bit anxious and intimidated by it for some reason, and also just generally feeling quite uninspired by my channel recently. So I'm going to try bulk filming a whole bunch right now to see if I can kind of get it out of my system a little bit, and if there's anything in particular that you want to see from me on this channel, please do let me know, because that would actually be really helpful for me at this point. This is going to be my wrap up for both August and September, so there's a lot of books here. I just don't have it in me to give an in-depth review of all of these books, so I'm just going to be very brief, and this video will probably be way too long even with me being brief, but we're just gonna get through it. I'm gonna tell you the titles and a brief idea of what I thought of it, and we'll go in chronological order. So in August I read 10 books and in September I read 16, so there's 26 books that are going to feature in this video, so you can probably see why I've been putting this off, but we're just going to get through it as quickly as I can. So the first book that I read in August was a book that I don't have a physical copy of, which was The Wilful Princess and the Piebald Prince by Robin Hobb, which is a novella in the realm of the Elderlings series. I enjoyed it. It gives a little bit of backstory about the world, and I will probably reread it before I read Tawny Man because apparently it's helpful for that trilogy, so I'll probably reread it at that point. From there I read The Left-Handed Booksellers of London by Garth Nix. It was shelved in the adult section, but I'd say it's probably more YA, and it's kind of a fun fantasy adventure story, and it was slightly funny as well, so I quite enjoyed this one. Then I read In Light of Luna by Amanda Crawley, which is the second book in the On Luna Time trilogy. I don't remember much about it, but I did enjoy reading it, and I haven't finished the trilogy yet, but I will do at some point. Then I finished my reread of Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. I have a whole vlog series recording my reread of this and noting all of the Cosmere links. Thoroughly enjoyed myself. Not much to say there. Then, as part of my Sarah Beth Durst along with Jessie from The Bookish Mum, I read The Bone Maker by Sarah Beth Durst. This is an adult fantasy standalone book and I really enjoyed it. I really liked the characters in particular, and there was a little bit of mystery which I enjoyed. Then I read The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, which I also really enjoyed. This one is definitely adult, epic fantasy, and lots of grey morality in here. Thoroughly enjoyed myself, really looking forward to carrying on with the series. I should say as well, if there are any of these that you want to hear more thoughts from me about, then just let me know in the comments and I'll reply to you there, or if I get specific requests for specific books then I might do another video talking about those in more detail, but otherwise this is all I have in me to do. Then I finished off the Farseer trilogy by reading Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. I absolutely loved this. I was in a live show on Beautifully Bookish Bethany's channel with Bethany and also Laura from A Book Circus. I loved this from cover to cover. I know there's a section in the middle that a lot of people find really slow, and it is, but I loved it anyway. Then I read A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. This is book 2 in the Wayfarer series. It's been years since I read A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, maybe 2 years, and I love that book. I've read it a couple of times, one of my all-time faves. Don't know why it took me so long to get to this. Really enjoyed it. Then I read Race the Sands by Sarah Beth Durst, which is also a standalone fantasy. Again, shelved in adult, could easily be read by YA readers also, and this one was really fun too. I just really enjoy Sarah Beth Durst's writing and her characters in particular. And speaking of which, my last book of the month was The Queen of Sorrow, which is the final book in the Queens of Renthia series, and this was a great conclusion. It's got a sort of, not an open ending because I feel like all the plot threads are tied up, but I think Abby said it best on her channel when she included this in her wrap up, which is that it ends with a life goes on kind of feeling, like the characters' lives will go on in this world. So I don't think it's that it's open for Sarah Beth Durst to go back to those characters, but it's not finished because the characters' lives aren't finished, the world isn't gone, it's all just still there carrying on. And I usually don't like that, but I actually quite enjoyed it in this one. So that was it for August, and then we're moving on to September. So the first book that I read in September was a reread of Shadows of Self by Brandon Sanderson, second book in the second era of Mistborn. I don't have my copy on me right now, it's over there and I can't be bothered to get it. I liked it. I'm liking this series, Era 2, more on reread, which is actually great because the first time I read it, it was okay, but I didn't love it, and I'm actually enjoying it much, much more this time through, which is great. Then I read The Devil Makes 3 by Tori Bovolino, which I absolutely loved. This is the book that inspired me to make my back to school feeling recommendations. It was the first video for a while that I actually felt inspired to make, and I owe it to this book. So I talk about this book more in that video, and I just loved it and I highly recommend it. Then I read Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Santanto and really enjoyed that one as well. It's kind of a crime thriller comedy, which is something really different to anything I've ever read before, and actually I think just different in general. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I highly recommend it, especially for this time of year. I feel like it's just perfect, and if you find it funny like I did, I think it's a really, really good one. From there I read XOXO by Axio, and this one is a super fun sort of rom-com K-pop style book, super quick and easy to read, but just what I needed, I feel like, at the beginning of last month, and actually probably still really need at this point in time also, but this was a super fun time. Then I read Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. I am just glad to be back in the realm of the Elderlings. This follows completely different characters, but it's still set in the same world, so it's got that kind of familiarity but with new storyline. I don't know that I like this as much as Farseer so far, but I do really enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to picking up the second book, which I am actually hoping to do maybe next week. Then I read The Hawthorne Legacy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which is the sequel to the Inheritance games, which I read in December, I think. Really enjoyed the sequel, super fun, easy to read. I think I quite like YA mysteries because they're just kind of easy to read, and I feel like I need that more often than I allow myself to have it. Then I read a book that really disappointed me. That's Do Dream of Terror 2 by Temi O. This one had all the makings of something I would really enjoy. It's YA sci-fi. I generally tend to get on better with YA sci-fi than adult. Adult sci-fi is a little bit intimidating to me, but the ending of this was just so disappointing that it tarnished what had otherwise been an enjoyable time. From there I went back to Sarah Beth Durst and back to Renthia and read The Deepest Blue, which follows different characters in the same world, just in a different place, and this was great. I enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the plot, it was fast paced, we didn't need to spend a whole bunch of time on world building because we already were familiar with the world from the original trilogy. I do definitely recommend reading the original trilogy before reading this, because otherwise this might be a little bit difficult to follow, possibly, if you like the world building, but I really enjoyed this. Then I read Blood and Honey by Shelby Mahurin, and I didn't really like this. It was fine, but it wasn't good. And actually I've since read, I mean, I guess spoilers for my October wrap up, but at this point I don't even really care. I really enjoyed the conclusion to this trilogy, but this one just suffered from middle book syndrome so badly, just so badly. Then I went on a little bit of a romance mystery kick, and read the entire Stalking Jack the Ripper quartet. So I read Stalking Jack the Ripper, then Hunting Prince Dracula, then Escaping from Houdini, and then Capturing the Devil, back to back. They're not very long anyway. I listened to the audiobooks. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I loved the main kind of relationship in this quartet. The mysteries were fun. Books 1 and 4 were my favourite. Maybe book 3 was my least favourite. But I just had such a fun time reading these. Just such a fun time. Then I read another one that slightly disappointed me. That was In the Ravenous Dark by A.M. Strickland. This one I had really high hopes for. It was meant to be kind of a dark, polyamorous relationship, but actually I just didn't buy the relationships that were in this. They all just happened way too quickly, not in like an insta love sense even, like some of the friendships too were just like, oh, we're best friends, like we've known each other 2 minutes but we're best friends and we die for each other and all that kind of stuff. So I just didn't really buy the relationships in here, and the rest of the plot wasn't as engaging as I wanted it to be, so unfortunately this one didn't really work for me either. Then I read Record of a Spaceborne Few by Becky Chambers to finally finish out the books that I have in this. I know that there's another one in this series now, The Galaxy and the Ground Within, or something like that. I haven't read that one yet, but I did finish off with this one, and this one I loved. I loved this one as much as the first one. I didn't like the second one quite as much, but I still really enjoyed it. This one I loved. This was fantastic. It really gave me the same kind of vibes as the first one, which are just precious. So I really had a great time with this one. And then finally I read The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni, so I was getting a little bit ahead on my October reading challenge with this one. My October reading challenge being reading book box books, of which this was one. So like I said, getting a bit ahead. Really enjoyed this. This was good fun. I like the whole prison thing. It's like a, not even really a trope, but a setting, I guess, that I quite like. And this was enjoyable. I liked the characters. There were some twists that I kind of saw coming but were still surprising. I thought it was just done really well, so I was really pleased to finish off the month with a couple of really good books, because there were a couple that were a bit disappointing in there. And that is it. Those are all of the books that I read in August and September. I've managed to keep this video pretty brief, which I am really pleased about, and I'm actually really glad that I've got this out of the way and I can put all of these books away and just move on with my reading. It's been stressing me out, so I'm glad that that we're there. Don't forget to check out Pondful Books down in the description. And that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks. Bye.